Albus. James is a jerk. Honestly, I mean it. He is such a jerk. I'm sorry to say because he's my brother and he has always been more than decent to me, and in many aspects he is the better person. But he's behaving unreasonably. He's making Grandma very worried, and really, all considering what she's going through, he could be a bit more accommodating. He hasn't come a single time to the cemetery. I must be honest, it's not fun. It's tormenting, having both my mum and sister death in front of me, seeing Grandpa numbed by grief, Grandma in a pathetic attempt in railing. It's not fun. But Grandma cares for it. It does her well to have us there. And if you are living a situation where there is no light, if hopelessness, sorrow, and despair are assailing you on all sides, if you see those feelings racking everybody around you and you can do one thing to make them feel better, you do it. Doesn't matter what. Doesn't matter the sacrifice. It's our duty. So I go, and James should do the same. He didn't come to visit Dad either. I don't understand him. How can resentment be taken so far? I know the relationship has always been shaky, but he's our father. He's all what we have got left, and we have been so close in losing him too. I honestly don't understand him. Why such a fuss? Always feeling neglected for mysterious reasons, since it is not exactly as if Dad has been such a bad dad. He used to make us play all the time. He would take us to visit Muggles' places. He would joke with us. True, he has always been kind of silent and secretive, and sometimes right out scary. But it doesn't take much to understand the reasons of it. Mom told us, Aunt Hermione too. Even he at one point explained us the reasons of it, for God's sake. Why did I get it and he doesn't? Personally, I think that is great. One of the best people I ever know. When I was a lad, I adored him for the shine, the adventures. He's the one who defeated you-know-who. How cool is that? All the people I know have normal dads who do boring stuff. Mine fought and defeated the darkest wizard of all time. Plus, he is an Auror. I always thought he was the coolest person in the whole world. But then, growing up, I understood how much more there is behind it, and the reasons of my admiration developed and deepened. It all started when I was 11 and James was behaving like a jerk as usual and forced Dad to tell us all what happened in his past. Well, I couldn't fail to make comparison with my life up to that moment. My easy life with Mom who would kiss me and cuddle me all the time, Grandma and Grandpa spoiling me covertly, all my uncles and aunts covering me with presents. Not a problem in the world besides whether there would be any dessert after dinner. And my dad, at my age, was living in a cupboard with a piece of you-know-whose soul inside him. I reflected on his words many times afterward, and I started to notice things I didn't before. And all his silences took totally another meaning. There was a gloom hovering on him, a lot of anger repressed. I don't think he had many happy moments in his life, and still he is more than a decent person, always ready to put himself aside for our benefit. And there wouldn't be any need of it at all, because already with all what he had done in his past, he rolled out a carpet of easiness in front of our feet who have the privilege to be born his sons. I know that every door is open for me, now in Hogwarts, but also when I'll finish my studies. I could even drop school and I could anyway pursue any career I please, and if I decide not to work at all, money will come in any case as easy as a guy onto a sniffler. And even if he didn't, which I doubt, you just need to see all the advertisements of her that receives all the time, and I know he receives them for us too because I saw some in his office once. We are anyway rich. We don't live as other rich families do, but we are so, nevertheless. That's why I don't bother too much about grades. What's the point? I only study what's necessary not to fail. Rose wouldn't allow me to anyway. I'm not show-off James, who need to shine in everything to be fulfilled. I could have girls too, like, very easily. It happens often to be accosted by silly girls with endless different pretexts. I always get rid of them. Some are indeed pretty, but it always struck me as very sad to be looked for only because of that. I want to be appreciated for myself, thank you very much. Anything less I won't accept. I'm not endlessly horny James who need to get lied every 20 minutes with any girl pretty enough. I'm not attracted by that kind of life made of money, popularity, and girls. It's a dangerous one. I want to stay very far away from it. I'll strive for it, like Dad has done. I've been lucky because I saw to what it leads, having James' example under my eyes, who embrace it wholeheartedly. Accepting it enchains you to people. You become their property, and they feel they have every right over you. You end up living to their expectations and needs. This is what's happening to him. He pretends to be happy and satisfied. Everybody envies him, thinking he has got the perfect life. But I can see behind the facade. In reality, he is only very bitter, angry, and dissatisfied. I'm sorry for him, but he chose his lot. What makes me angry is when he starts to give every fault to Dad, like if every of his problems is conducible to him. If he would shag a bit less, and instead he'd focus his energies on building up healthy relationships with friends and girls, maybe he'd be able to see that Dad hasn't got any fault at all. He's the only responsible for the life he's leading. He cannot blame it on Dad. And all that bullshit about feeling shunned and neglected by him. Boo-hoo! Poor James. I don't know what she complains about. To start with, he was Mom's favorite. I know she loved me very much, but her eyes shined when speaking about James. She adored him. It was always James did this and James said that. And even Dad, despite on appearance it seems I was the one preferred. I'm not sure it is so. Their relation reminded me very much about the magnets I used to play when I was little. If you try to stick them together by the wrong ends, they push away from each other fiercely. But if you just flip them, they get attracted straight away. This is what happens with them. They are so similar. They push away each other because both convinced are not liked by the other. But once they get over that notion, they are straight away attracted. They can't help but looking for each other company continuously. I can see it very clearly from the outside. Mom could see it too. But they cannot. They are too deep in it. So in the end, I should be the one feeling neglected, not him. But then, honestly, I have no reason to. My childhood has been very happy. All parents have their favorites. I don't mind being him. James Drama Queen would have hanged himself in my shoes. The most important thing to me is to be Rose's favorite. That's enough by me. And thankfully, I am. Everything changed in the last year, and I was in serious disarray. It started over the summer. Rose joined us for part of our summer holiday. She always does if we can manage. We were having a plunge in the water as we always do. We were playing as we always do. And she got hold of me as she always does. But at that moment, I don't know, she was so close, and the water on her lips and her breast pressing against me. It's just as if only at that moment I realized she was a girl. I mean, I've always known she is a girl, and her breast was there even before getting into the water. But it's as if I noticed only then. My body reacted with such an impetuosity that I had to push her away from me quite harshly not to ever notice. She didn't understand and was quite hurt, but I couldn't do anything else. From then on, everything changed. She was different. I mean, she was the same, but she was different to me. I noticed she had some beautiful legs, a tiny waist, her skin so smooth. Not even her smile was the same. When she smiled, I felt a warmth I never felt before. It has been dreadful. She has always been my best friend. She's my cousin, a relative. A relative shouldn't make you feel that way. I have been forced to get some distance. From then on, I avoided her whenever I could. At Hogwarts, I began to hang out with male friends, and when she was looking for my company, I found excuses. I seriously hurt her. She ended up quite lonely. Because of Uncle Ron, she didn't manage to make many friends. But I was anyway hurting me more. Because I'm not so stupid as not to realize what that warmth means. I love her. Not like a cousin at all. I love her like a lover. And it is not acceptable to love a relative in that way. So what could I do if not distancing myself from her? But I was seriously racked. As soon as she was unreachable, I realized that she's perfect. Nobody is quite like her. I couldn't imagine falling in love with anybody else. I tried to hang out with some other girls, but it wasn't the same. They were all so silly and boring. I missed their company dreadfully. After 4 months of this penitence, I let it out with James. I waited in the changing room after training to talk to him. James, can I talk to you for a sec? I murmured to him while everybody was changing. He looked at me sideways and nodded. He always understands when I have something that weighs on my mind. When everybody was gone, he slumped on a bench. What's wrong? I was very hesitant, to be honest. This was a huge thing to avow aloud, and I was very scared by his possible reaction. It's about Rose, I muttered in the end, plumping up my uniform in the locker not to have to look at him. He arched his eyebrow. Yeah, I noticed you're not hanging out with her lately. Did she patronize you more than usual? He said, sitting back against the wall. Not exactly. And very coyly, and hiding almost entirely in my locker, I explained about what happened over the summer. He was perplexed. Do you mean to say you got a boner? Why do you have to be so coarse? I snapped, blushing to the top of my hair. Yes, I got a boner, for God's sake. My head was still in the locker, pretending to tidy up, but because no words were coming back from James, I hazarded a peep. He was looking at me bemused. I promise I felt my guts sinking. For sure he was thinking I was a perv or something. But, he stammered, and I just knew what he was about to say. She is our cousin. But she is not even that pretty? He exclaimed in the end. She is pretty, I blurted out in rage, springing out from my locker and slamming it closed, but I must say, feeling like laughing at the same time, so relieved by his only objection. Without listening to my answer, he added pensive, True it is that she has grown some huge teeth in the last year. I can see your point. I was rendered speechless by his bluntness, but he wasn't waiting for an answer. Dad noticed it too, I believe, he said, starting to chuckle. When we were at the beach and she took out her t-shirt, he pulled such a face, I promise you I struggled to keep mine straight. He continued, bursting out laughing. He looked at me and I was sure he was about to say something, but then Mum came and just shoved his sunglasses on his eyes and didn't utter a word. He was laughing so much at that point he could barely speak. Oh my, so out of the blue, last year she was as flat as a board. Yeah, right, but she is our cousin, remember? I supplied, a bit unnerved by his hilarity, pointing out what I thought he would have remarked to me. And it is not simply a boner, I concluded, feeling a hot flush creeping. So what? He said, shrugging, still chuckling. People marry between forced cousins all the time. Those people are mostly Slytherin, I replied, getting warm and sheepish, sitting on the bench in front of him. We are not Slytherin. We don't care about keeping our blood pure. True, he admitted, managing to restrain his mirth. I met a muggle baby in the summer and I very much enjoyed dirtying my blood with her. He smirked, but seeing my expression he sobered up. But then, it is also true. They marry cousins for blood and money. You want her because you are clearly smitten, and she is great. Is it not quite a better reason? This is the good thing about James. He might be a jerk sometimes, and a show-off, and a drama queen, and definitely endlessly horny. But I could never find a better brother anywhere. He always say the right thing. James is the best. Well, I felt better after talking to him, but the problem was still there. She would have been disgusted knowing what I was experiencing in her regards. So I kept my line of conduct until Christmas holiday, but it couldn't last, and in the end, it was her who came to me. I was at home listening to some music on my bed, and she was there, dead, let her in. We need to talk, she said quite stern, closing the door. I had not even the time to pull myself together that she was sitting on the edge of the bed. Why are you avoiding me? I'm not avoiding you. Albus, please, don't insult my intelligence. You are avoiding me, all right. Truth to be told, from lying relaxingly as I was, I crumpled in a corner as soon as she touched the bed to be as far away as possible from her. So my sentence was very weak to start with. I didn't know what to say in reply, therefore I didn't speak, trying to erase the alarm from my face. Is it because of my body? I gaped, crumpling a little bit more and flashing furiously. How in the heck could she know? She rolled her eyes. Oh, come on, Albus, I'm not stupid. And biting her lips, but you are, she said accusingly, and I could see some mortification as she looked away and crouched on herself ashamed. It's still me, you know. My body changed, but it is still me. I'm the same person. Sensing all her distress, I forced myself in speaking. I know you are. I only managed to mumble lamely, taking the first comic book I could reach and burying my nose in it. She hung her head, and for some time none of the two did speak. I truly wanted to explain her that it's not her the problem but me, but my mouth was completely incapable of intelligible speech. I hate my body, she murmured under her voice in the end. It's horrible. Actually, I find it everything but horrible. That's the problem, I mumbled without even realizing I had done so. Her head tilted up so fast and the moist eyes looked at me with such a bewildered expression, I realized straight away what I just said. I gibbered quite hysterically, raising the comic right in front of my face. It's not that I looked, it's not that I cleared my voice. It's a fine body in its sort. I kept gibbering when honestly it would have been much better to shut up once and for all. It's a fine body in its sort? How could I even think to say something like that? But as an answer, she only laughed, softly first, and then a bit louder. And then she was laughing so much she folded her arms on her stomach and tears spurted from her eyes. What could I do if not laughing with her? And we found we couldn't stop. We laughed so much my breath was blunt. And when the mirth was quenching, we would look in each other's eyes and we would start again even louder. At one point I threw my comic away and I beckoned at her to come close to me, which she did. And still laughing, I put an arm around her shoulder. And it felt perfect to have her there after months of estrangement. And when the laughter by degrees subsided, out of breath, and finally at ease, I looked at her smile, and I felt again that warmth pervading me. Although Instead of pushing her away, as I would have formerly done, I simply kissed her. Or maybe it was her who kissed me. I'm not sure. Maybe we kissed each other at the same time. And as with the laugh, it started soft and grew steadily more sweeping, we found out we couldn't stop. When we broke apart and we looked into each other's eyes, we'd start again, even more impetuously. We never really stopped since then. Yes, Rose was born my cousin. She has always been my best friend. She is my girlfriend now. She'll be my wife one day. Rose is my past, my present, my future. Rose is everything. It's thanks to her if I rallied up to now. When Aunt Hermione decided to send her back to Hogwarts, I felt all the heaviness of what was happening crushing me. But I couldn't oppose to it. Nobody knows we are an item besides James. We decided to keep it quiet for the moment. I'm not sure how the family will react, and this is not the moment to avoid. The only person I'm fairly sure won't have anything to object is Dad. But right now, it doesn't even see me. Grandma says it's shock. That might be. I'm not sure. He woke up from the sleeping potion in the middle of the night. I was the only one there. Grandma was at the barrow, James in Sunrise room. I woke up with a start. I don't know why, perhaps I was having a nightmare, I don't know. What I know is that Dad was awake. I realized it only because I spotted his eyes open. I called him, but he didn't react in any way. I called for the healer then. I thought she must know he was awake. When she came, she made him sit down. He did, but without looking at her. She spoke sweetly, asking him many different questions. Easy questions. His name and surname, his age, about his job. Mechanically, he answered to all of them quite correctly. She casted some spells against his head, I guess to check if everything was okay. She checked his pulse. He made him stand and walk about, which he did with some stiffness at first, and many other things. He followed every order and let himself handling without a word or a protest. A nurse came into the room bustling about. She's not the first. We can forbid people to get into the aisle, but unfortunately not all these bloody nurses who come and go only to pry. She pretended to do things until the healer, quite sharply, sent her away. I love this healer. She seems earnestly worried for Dad, and she has always been extra nice to me. She allowed me to say bye to Mom alone before they would take her away, and I know she took care of her before letting me in, because she looked very pretty, proper, as she was only sleeping. I would like you to do some body rehabilitation and eat something now, she told him sweetly, making him sit on the bed again. I'm not hungry, he answered listlessly. I know, but it is important. You need to get back some strength. I'm not hungry. I just want a sleeping potion. The healer searched for his eyes. Why do you want it? You just got one. You only woke up. I want to sleep again. The healer didn't answer straight away. He looked in my dad's eyes for a long moment and then sighed. Let's make a deal, she said wearily but smiling. I want you to do a few things for me. I'll send you over some other healers to help you out with some exercise I want you to do every day. You must eat something and have a shower. At the end, I'll give you half of it. Is it fine? I'll do my usual workout by myself. I don't want to see anybody. Okay, but if you see you don't manage, you let me know, alright? She smiled, patting his shoulder. I'll send somebody with the food in an hour. As soon as the healer was out, Dad started his workout. I thought he wouldn't have, and I was ready to prod him, if necessary. But he did as he was told. I just watched him from my armchair, still transfixed, amazed in seeing him walking about when I thought he would never wake up. He didn't look at me once, as if I was invisible. Sometimes he would halt, hollowing looking in front of him. But it was only a moment. Realizing it, he shook himself off and started again with more energy. After an hour, he was quite worn out. Not surprisingly. For a week, he didn't move at all. The healer taught me how to cast all the spells to keep his muscle active, though, and I did it every day. I didn't allow the nurses to do anything. I didn't want them close to him. Drenched and panting, he rested his back against the wall, sliding slowly on the floor. And I wanted to say something. I wanted him to realize I was there. But obviously the bloody nurse strode in all fluttering, carrying a tray. When she saw him in that corner, so despondent, she exclaimed, "Oh, the poor dear." But I know it was all a fake. She was only pleased to be able to tend to Harry Potter, that's all. I could just tell. And I hated her for the selfishness, for the stupidity showed in this fake concern. A bit like if Dad is not even a person. I helped Dad to sit on the bed to get his meal. He did, thankfully refusing an attempt by the nurse to feed him. "Can I have the potion?" he asked once the plate was empty. "The healer said you must get a shower first," she said all giddy, and I honestly was beyond irritated by her presence. Dad didn't pay her more attention than to a fly, but stood up and made for the bathroom. She sprang up to follow, but then I stepped in. The hell I'll allow her to follow him in the bathroom. I barred her away straight away. "I'll help him," I stated stern. "Don't be silly, sweetheart," she cooed, condescending, as if speaking to a 10 years old or something, trying to go past me. "I'm not a sweetheart, and I said I'll help him. We don't need you anymore." She snorted, quite offended. "Fine," she snapped huffily. "But if he sleeps or something happens, it's going to be on you." I nodded truculently, closing the door behind Ed, on seeing her trying to peep inside. She turned her heel stiffly and, leaving the potion in a cupboard, marched away. Dad didn't need any help, obviously. When done, he went for the bed. On sitting on it, he looked up at me for the first time. "Albus, could you ask the healer for the potion?" My heart lurched, hearing him mentioning my name. I thought he hadn't even realized I was there. "There is no need. The nurse left it here," I stammered, going to retrieve it. I sat close to him and gave him the vial. "How are you and James?" he asked before drinking it. "We are fine, Dad, don't worry." He lay down, observing pensively the liquid in the vial. Everything was still, and our voices echoed slightly in the room. I dimmed the light of the lamp. "How many hours do you think it will make me sleep?" "I don't know. You slept 10 with a full one. I guess at least 5. "Not that long," he only said. "I'd rather prefer to have a full one." "I don't think it's that healthy," I murmured. "You already slept for rather a long time." He didn't say anything for a while, still observing the liquid that glimmered slightly, reflecting the lamp's light. "I'm sorry, Albus," he muttered in the end. "What for?" I asked, in a pain relief, glad to be able to talk to him, but feeling strangled on my chest. "I should have died." I was rendered speechless for a moment, not understanding the meaning of this sentence. He was sure still confused. I looked outside the window, in the garden, unsure of what my answer should have been. An owl, in a vast dark shadow, cut the sky in half. I'm glad you didn't. Dad rested his head against the wall and brought the vial to his lips. I followed his Adam's apple going up and down with the drinking. I shouldn't have married her, he said once the vial was empty. I should have let her have a safe life with somebody else. He slurred, his voice getting fainter as sleep was dawning on him. I should have left her alone. And the last sentence was no more than a whisper, as his head was already reclining on one side, and the vial was rolling from his hand on the linen. I caught it before it could smash on the floor, setting it on the bedside table. I slid him down so his head would rest on the pillow. My inside was bleeding. I know he's not himself. Otherwise, he would never have said it. Because if he'd left Mum alone, if he'd never married her, I would never have been born. Today is sunny. I can perceive it through my eyelids. It seems miraculous. Never getting out from the hospital, I often wonder if this is the real weather or just one chosen by the admin office. Being as it may, it's nice. I enjoy this moment in which conscience still didn't properly reach me. I can pretend whatever I want to. Mum is alive and well, on holiday in Australia, and Dad is there too. They sent us a nice postcard with a bright exotic bird. Sunrise is fine too, at the Borough. She made one of her comprehensible drawing, and Grandma sent it to us. It's a flower, apparently. It's always a flower. I'm strolling with Rose in the Hogwarts ground, and James is getting laid with one of his girls somewhere in the castle. Everything is perfect. It doesn't last long. It never does. It starts with a chill on one of my feet, uncovered by the blanket. It follows with a hushed voice. It finishes with my mind awaking. It's gone. We are back to reality. I squint against the sun, my body all stiff because of the uncomfortable position on the armchair. I stretch a leg, and then the other. I pick up the hushed voice again, so I open my eyes once and for all. It's the bloody nurse, stooped on my dad. She's telling him something, and he, eyes wide open, is drinking all her words quite attentively. What are you doing? I ask abruptly, already on the warpath. She startles, but then, seeing me, the fakest smile ever appears on her face. Nothing, silly Willy. You don't need to take that on, she says, all soppily. Just checking how your dad is. He's fine, I hiss, wrenching my blanket aside and standing up. You don't get to decide if he's fine, she replies naively. The healer does. All right, I say, condescending. Go and look for her then, so we might know. She narrows her eyes viciously, but she leaves the room. I bet anything she wasn't Slytherin. I recognized the shrewd look between hundreds. I approach Dad, but he's back in his listlessness, eyes glazed. I ask him how he is, but he doesn't answer. The healer appears, but Dad doesn't answer to her questions or requests either. Can I have a sleeping potion? It's the only sentence that arises from his lips at one point. No, Potter, you only wake up, she says, checking his pupils, and reflects. Please, I need it, he implores, staring straight into her eyes. She winces and diverts her gaze. I'm sorry, but you cannot. You slept enough. It might be dangerous. He turns from her, crouching. Can you give me something else then? He pleads despairingly. Please, anything! And there is so much anguish in that sentence, I cannot stand it. Can you not give it to him? I interject brusquely. He only wants to sleep. No, Albus, I'm not being mean. Sleeping potions are not to be used lightly. The mind can get damaged, the body too, if used too often. It creates dependence. It's a drug. She says stern, checking Dad's pulse. But you see how he is, I blurt out. Just one is not gonna hurt him. It's not just one. It would be the third in scarcely 24 hours. I cannot allow it. Seeing my less than convinced expression, she lifts my dad's arm and comes to me, putting his hands on my shoulders, while my glance is still on Dad, crouched on himself. Albus, you are a good boy, and I can see you are worried for your father. But if you want to see him well, we need to be strict. He needs to stay away from every mind-altering substance as much as possible. And sleeping potion is one of them. Alright? I nod, not properly convinced yet. Is it really better to leave him in this condition? What's more dangerous, a potion or crushing awareness? I'd go for the potion anytime, honestly, but I'm not a healer. She went away, not long after that, since Dad wasn't cooperating in any way, asking me to try to persuade him to get out of bed. I didn't try. It seems useless. I think it's best to leave him alone. Grandma come next. She cries a bit seeing him in that state, but she mops up her eyes quickly. He doesn't answer to her questions either. He only stares at the wall. Grandma caresses his head and keeps his hand for a while, but I don't think he doesn't even notice. Since she's here, I decide to go to James to let him know that he's awake, in case he decides to be less of a jerk than usual. I find him intent in throwing some food in the rubbish with a concerned expression. She doesn't want to eat, he says as a greeting, seeing me entering. She woke up an hour ago, and she only whimpered the whole hour. She keeps asking for Mom. He mutters darkly under his voice. Sunrise is still in bed, clutching her teddy bear, her green eyes full of tears. Hey, Sonny, I say, stroking her curls. Albie, I want Mommy. She wails, outstretching her arms to behold. She cannot come, sweetie, I reply mechanically as her arms fasten around my neck. Why? Because she's still at the sea. When she come back? I pause, looking at James, still busy with the leftover. But I can see his eyes harden and his body stiffen. I think we both agree that we lied to her long enough. She won't come back, I reply, kissing her wet cheek.